Hi, Jess.
Oops, there we go. Hi, Avery.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited for the call today.
Yeah, me too. I'm just gonna repost. Hi, friends.
I'll mute myself. Sorry, one second.
How have you been?
Oh, good. The weather here has been so nice. So just getting outside before it turns super, super cold. So,
Right.
but I didn't catch any fish last weekend, but I had a really good time. So that's all that counts. What about you? How's everything? San Francisco, right?
Yeah, San Francisco. It's been really good. Yeah. Had my daughter's second birthday this last weekend, and that was
Oh,
fun.
nice. Did you do a themed party?
Not really. I mean, we don't really have many kid friends. There were like two other kids who came.
But
There's
oh,
like
sorry,
adult friends coming in. Yeah. So we did bubbles. We did big bubbles, which was fun.
oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hi
That's
Heidi. Valko, you look so like Christine Lai.
All right. Looks like that.
Looks like you're logged in as the ESHIP host.
Yeah, I was looking for the right link, and I just dig an old link, so I don't know what's up with that.
No worries. We know
As
it's
long as it works.
exactly. Jeff, I thought you were making it.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't realize that you were joining us.
Oh yeah,
I thought you said you could make it.
that was Tyler.
Oh, that was Tyler. Sorry. Is
Don't
it bad that I
confuse us.
confused the two of you? Yeah.
He's the bearded one.
But both of you are on all the calls that I have with you.
Well, we all our interests align. Yeah.
We had a caller in from a 815 number.
That's Carol in Chicago. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Carol. Great. We're doing well.
In hot and humid, balmy Chicago today, almost 90 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, welcome. Glad you could make it. We'll just wait. We're not even quite at noon yet. Everybody's like early / on time. That's fantastic. I posted in the Slack the notes document, but I will repost it here to Zoom in the chat window for anyone who needs it. Hey, Valto, since you're have the hosting power, could you rename Carol's phone number with her name, please?
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm used to being the host and getting all that power.
Let's see. I don't think I can do that. I could do it for myself, but
Oh, but you don't have the power for others? Okay. Interesting.
no. Yeah, only for myself.
Okay.
Hi, Walter.
Hello.
How are you? Okay, I'm going to move. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Hi, Cecilia. Yep, we can hear you.
Hi, Avery. Hold on. I gotta move. Walter, there are so many people here who know you.
Where are you right now, Cecilia?
I'm in Greece.
Oh, I leave for Greece on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, yes, I saw that. Okay, look, I'll show you.
Cool.
So, Valto Flo from South Africa said to say hello.
Hello.
Okay, I'm going to. Who am I turning the reins over to?
I'm driving this ship tonight or today.
Okay, great. So I'm going to make you the. the person in charge, and then I'm going to go on mute. So so then I can leave the call and you'll be going. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, hang on.
Cecilia did not seem to make me host, just FYI.
I'm working on it.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Hi, friends. Welcome to our Goal for Connected Networks call. Very exciting to see you all again. If anyone doesn't already have the agenda, I'll repost it again in the Zoom chat since some folks joined after I posted it before. This is our monthly kind of check-in call, and so for today's call, we're going to just do some quick intros. I think most people on the call know each other, but this could be helpful for this. One of the questions I would love to ask, we did this in a team meeting yesterday, and it resulted in some fabulous stories, is when was the last time you laughed out loud? Like, actually something that funny that you laughed out loud. Carol, there we go. And welcome, Lauren. Good to see you. And then we will, I'm happy to take notes. And if there's anyone else who also wants to jump in and take notes, that will be very appreciated. And then we'll just do some general updates around Goal 4 and then specifically hone in on the project teams that are currently underway. And we can highlight any projects that are not currently underway, but where folks want to get started. We don't have a lot of curated content for this call, and I was actually, with everyone's permission, hoping maybe we could use this call to start to schedule out what the content would be for October, November, and December. And who's going to lead that so that we can start getting a clear trajectory from now until the end of the year. And then we'll just do our closing Q&A and add any other urgent points to the agenda. The note stock is beautifully laid out. I don't know who designed this, but person after my own heart. I love the organization here. And so we'll have a parking lot for anything that gets raised that we can't handle or address today. And then we have a space for our call notes. Any questions or anything before we kick off and get started? We have an 832 number who just called in. May I ask who that is? Okay, not sure who the 832 number is. I can hear you, Carol. And hi, Grace. We see you.
So yeah, the 832 is me.
Oh, okay. We're going to just say Grace part 2. Okay, great. So we will get you all added here to the attendance sheet. Oh. Lovely. So with that, we're going to kick off with some introductions. And I'm just going to call on people in order that they're showing up on my screen, if that's cool with you all. So Valto, you're up first.
Alrighty. So yeah, I'm Valto. I'm from Startup Commons, where we basically help the ecosystem developers, ecosystem builders, and the associated ecosystems to kind of develop their ecosystems better. So we create tools, common tools. We're very heavy on open source and Creative Commons thinking. So pretty much everything we do is shared under like free-to-use licensing. And we've been working in ecosystem development with other ecosystems, I would say about 4 years now globally. And before that, I was, and still of course are also, helping our own local ecosystem here in Helsinki, Finland. And then On other ecosystems, it's been now with 30 different ecosystems around the world so far at the ground level. So I guess that's me.
Beautiful. And when was the last time you laughed out loud?
It must be in our previous tour in Sarawak, Malaysia, when I was with my co-founder, Oscar. I don't remember the topic, but it was something stupid for sure.
Great. Beautiful. Okay, and Heidi, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Heidi Shepard with RCAP, Rural Community Assistance Partnership, and I'm heading up the economic development efforts here for rural communities. And, you know, I guess moving on to when was the last time I laughed out loud was today. And I was looking at hilarious posts on Facebook, you know, that were just very funny about Trump.
Fair enough. And where are you based, Heidi?
I'm in Washington, D.C.
Great. Beautiful. Up next, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff Bennett. I am I run a nonprofit here in Sacramento, California to help startups. I am also the, I guess, gold champion of storytelling goal, or not, it's not a goal, the storytelling initiative and 4.4, the storytelling clearinghouse. That's me in a nutshell. And I guess the question of the day, last time I laughed out loud, I don't remember, probably last night at a TV show, probably.
Okay. Beautiful. Oh, Cecilia, you're up next.
Okay. It's a little loud here. My name is Cecilia Wessinger, for those of you who don't know me. I'm the ESHIP community activator. That's the person who's going to take this recording when you're done and upload it to the dashboard and help support all of the efforts that are going on. Thank you all for your energy and showing up. I'm currently in Greece. We just wrapped up the Global Agripreneur Summit. So the last time I laughed out loud was this afternoon when we were touring the American Farm School, which is an amazing opportunity for anybody who's who's curious about entrepreneurship. We took the ESHIP Summit goals and initiatives, and they're trying to create an ecosystem around there. So I have lots of people who knew people like Balto and Chad who've been to the ESHIP Summit. So it's really exciting to know that the messages are going through. And we were laughing out loud because they found a way to raise some money for olive trees. So people do it in honor of people who died. So it's a legacy thing. And we were talking about how the farm school got started, which was like a monk, a missionary who ended up living in Thessaloniki and connecting with people in New York and creating this farm school. And we were asking about the history of that. And then somebody turned around and asked which olive tree he was. Anyway, that was basically it. And I'm going to turn it over to all of you. I realized I thought I was going to be able to attend all the calls, and then I realized that in Greece we eat really late, so I'm still out having dinner with my host. So thank you so much, and I'll look forward to hearing about the rest of the recording.
Bye, Cecilia. Thanks. Katie, would you like to go next?
Sure. So my name is Katie Gales. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship Initiatives here at Wake Tech in Wake County, North Carolina. And I do deep dive programs that help people start and grow businesses in our county.
Sorry, I just missed the name of the organization you're with. Would you mind repeating that?
I'm sorry, Wake Technical Community College. We are the largest community college in North Carolina and the third largest in the country.
Thank you. And when was the last time you laughed out loud, Katie?
Let's see, last night we inducted our 5th class, launch Raleigh class of 23 entrepreneurs, and we had them introduce themselves and give some fun fact about themselves. And we had people who had been visited by Tony Tiger when they were a kid, and people who had been a guest on Oprah, and somebody who had a 20-year-old pet snake. And so we had a lot of fun.
Nice. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Let's see. Oh, Anne. Welcome, Anne. You popped up on my screen next.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I apologize for being late. Ann Lichter with the Center on Rural Innovation. I am leading our Rural Innovation Initiative, working with small towns across the country as they build out their entrepreneurial ecosystems. And I'll see many of you at Rural Rise next week in Pine Bluff. And struggling to remember when I last laughed out loud, but I think it was last night when my kids were all competing to do different dances, because they'll take any excuse they can to get up from the dinner table. So I realize I shouldn't have been laughing, because that probably just encourages that behavior.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Anne. Lauren.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Higgins, and I'm calling from the Kauffman Foundation. And my primary role here is I'm working with evolving the playbook and also a number of initiatives, which I'll talk about a little bit later, around Goal 4. And the last time I laughed out loud was literally like 15 minutes ago, because we had a connecting call with I'm part of a guild of community builders. And we were connecting because a bunch of them are meeting in Spain, and a bunch of us brought like costumes and things like that on the Zoom call like this. It was very silly. And so we were cracking each other up and talking to our friends in Spain and being very silly. So that was a fun way to start my afternoon.
Yeah, Ray's leading that, right? Or is a big part of that?
Yes, Ray. Yeah, Ray was there. Yep, she stuck her tongue out at me.
Nice. We were trying to see if we could make that work before the trip to Greece, and it was a little too hairy. Eric, you're up next.
See, oh, there I am. Hi, folks. Yeah, Eric Whitmore. I'm mostly in New Mexico, although right now I am also in North Carolina. It is my second sort of day on the ground I had just recently joined Forward Cities. I work with the ESHIP Communities Program. So somewhat related to that, I've laughed out loud at least once today, pretty much every day. So excited to keep laughing and learning with you all.
Thank you, Eric. Jess, you're up next.
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's Jess Edwards. I'm calling from Anchorage, Alaska, and I am with the Alaska Ocean Cluster, which is a statewide economic development initiative via entrepreneurship to grow and scale the Alaska ocean economy. So very excited to be on the call and learn more about the Connected Networks goal. And the last time I laughed really hard was probably this past weekend. My friends and I played a game called The Pit, and if anyone has ever played it, basically it's like it's a card game that you're on the stock exchange, the floor, and you have to shout at the same time to try to get one stock and win. So really, really fun and silly game. Everyone's screaming at each other at the same time to win. So it was a good time. And thank you.
Thanks, Jess. And Beth, you're up next.
Hey, everybody. Beth Zimmer, Innovation Collaborative in Erie, Pennsylvania. We are working towards being the holistic kind of spirit guide for the ecosystem here to help all of the network or the ecosystem actors connect with each other regularly to help us focus on the holistic health of the ecosystem. So something that made me laugh out loud today at lunch, we had at our Rotary International Weekly Luncheon, the speaker was a former creative director with TED, and he was on the development side or partnership side, where in working to attract corporate partners, they use one story over and over again about how somebody famous was at one of the early TEDs, and somebody who was a business owner at the time, a CEO, they just happened to bump into each other and start talking during a coffee break, and this famous person ended up acquiring that business. So they use that a lot to attract folks. And I'm not telling it as funnily as he did, but it was everyone laughed out loud.
Beautiful. Thank you, Beth. Carol.
And I'm driving, so I'm going to mute.
Okay, sounds good. Carol, you're up next.
I'm in rural Illinois, 2 hours west of Chicago. Carol Abrahamson, and I've got 3 main projects. I'm the founder of the Illinois State Incubator Association, which is in a launch mode, and we may be pivoting because we have a new governor who has some different ideas that might be great opportunities for us. My second project is I'm working to pull all the presidents of all the state associations, state incubator associations together. There are 20 of them. And my third project, and the purpose of that is to share resources, information, stop duplicating each other's efforts, all the same reasons we have state associations, the things we try to benefit, or the benefits we try to create for the incubators and accelerators and co-working spaces in our states. We're trying to, going to try to take that up a level and get the same benefits ourselves as state associations, because we are all recreating a whole lot of the same wheels. And then my third project is I'm a former venture capital person, so I'm working on how to create an international digital network kind of platform to help startups get out of state venture funding, venture and angel funding, and to kind of change the model that is in recent years of both of those groups typically only investing locally. And yet when I was in the VC world, way back in the 70s, we always invested out of state and out of town. We never had the luxury of being just a drive away from our startups. So to kind of revisit and bring alive that model to bring venture and angel money across state lines all the way through the country. Last time I laughed, a great, funny, unbelievable little video 2 nights ago that one of my housemates found of a dog, a large dog, where a woman was asking the dog for the dog's paw, as if, give me 5 kind of thing. The dog gave the woman its paw. The woman then brought out a nail clippers. The dog then crashed onto the floor on its shoulder, rolled over on its back, all 4 paws up in the air while the woman started clipping its nails. And its eyes were wide open the whole time. It was hilarious. So that's the last time I laughed, 2 nights ago.
Thanks, guys. And I think I know all of you, but I'm Avery Kent. Just had a title change. I am now the Chief Relationship Officer for Conveners.org, and based in San Francisco, though spend a great deal of my time on airplanes. And we run the Global Association of Conferences, as well as called Convening the Conveners, as well as a Global Association of Accelerators called Accelerating the Accelerators. And so, Carol, happy to chat with you about some of the things we've learned in bringing together accelerator program managers, and been collaborating with Jeff and Tyler on the storytelling and on being champions for Goal 4. And last time I left, we had my daughter's 2nd birthday on Saturday, and she did lots of things like with really big bubbles, and just watching her like be completely fascinated and blown away and trying to chase and catch bubbles was pretty darn cute and pretty funny. So with that, we're going to move into our content. So first off, in terms of any general updates, Lauren, are there any like high level Kauffman ESHIP updates that we should start with?
I don't have any for this month, but I can also check with Andy for the next month and see if there are any that I can kind of carry into this call, since I'll be attending this call regularly. So
Great.
you have my interest peaked, so I'll help with that section next time.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Otherwise, I know we have a few folks here who are leading specific initiatives within Goal 4. And so wondering, should we just take that in order, or do we want to go? Yeah. So, and I'm realizing that there isn't actually a summary of the initiatives here. So I'm gonna open the dashboard so that we have that.
Here, will this help?
Off of. Yes, that would help, except it's tiny and on paper. If it was digital and you could share your screen, that would be even better. I'll have that for you guys in just 1 second. Here we go. Okay, share screen. Thank you, ESHIP dashboard. So we have the ecosystem building toolkit. Yay! Do we know who is explicitly leading that initiative?
That's actually co-starters in Kaufman, I believe, and
yes, because
Lauren may have an update on that. I don't know.
I do. I have a little bit of an update there, so I can share. And I think it's good just for those on the call that maybe this might be your first call around these things. Each of these initiatives, they can turn into multiple projects, and so I would say that there's one project in particular that's under this initiative, and it has been so far named the Marketplace MVP, and that tool was shared at the ESHIP Summit this year, which is a sort of up-to-date collection of what the broader ESHIP community brought in terms of a directory of ecosystem building organizations, mostly in the US, and also resources linked to ecosystem building, including programs, etc. And so in the moment right now, we're just sort of closing a few last loops on the MVP. It's a very basic tool, and then we're looking at the best way to share that with the closer group of you so that you can use it as you would like. But then most importantly, I'm going to be uploading a project canvas as we have been instructed, and creating a project team, which will essentially be a task force to bring together a number of the stakeholders in the community who are interested in technology projects, to look at a lot of the technology projects that have cropped up across the initiatives that are interrelated, and see the best way for all of those to move forward in a more concerted effort, including what we have with the marketplace. So I'm looking at sort of having hosting a more comprehensive conversation around the technology needs within the initiatives, including the evolution of this toolkit and marketplace. And so everybody will see that project canvas soon, and there'll be clear instructions about engagement and things like that moving forward. So I'm still kind of working out the back end details here. As you know, it takes a little bit of time to launch these kinds of projects inside of Kaufman, so I'm a little bit slow because of that. But anyway, you'll be seeing the canvas, and I hope to be able to share that with you in more detail next month.
Great, thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
I just shot you a note of a few stakeholders that you may want to have in that technology meeting.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cool. Ecosystem event. Whoa, what just happened? Why'd you open a new tab? Don't open a new tab. Ecosystem building events calendar 4.2. So conveners, I have the update on that one. Speaking of which, if there is somebody who can hop in here on the second page and take notes while I'm talking, that would be very helpful.
Yes, having a scribe to support you would be good.
Yes, because I can type really fast, but not while I'm talking.
Yeah, it's very hard to facilitate a scribe.
So with the ecosystem building events calendar, this was communities.org and co-starters teaming up on that. We had an initial call scheduled that unfortunately got rescheduled because of, I think, health stuff that happened. So we are still in the process of scoping that out. Basically, Co-Starters has an MVP right now of national ecosystem building focused events. For their calendar, we have a live calendar called the Global Events Calendar, which are all impact-focused events. And our interest right now is talking about how, what are the platforms we're using to host these events? And this maybe actually comes to that tech tools conversation, Lauren, because neither of us are happy with what we're currently using. And the second question is about how we can share data across different calendar systems. And then the third is developing spaces and ways for the community to more easily both visit the calendar, either through an embed code or something where it's on lots of websites, so you don't just have to like know where to go to find it. Also, how to make it as easy as possible for folks to add their events to the calendar. So, so we have a number of design questions we're sitting with. This is by no means intended to be closed to co-starters and communities.org. We were just kind of the first two who raised our hands as being folks who are currently doing some version of this. So if there are others who are interested in participating in this, let me know, and we can include you since we are rescheduling our call.
Yeah, I just, in regards of specific to sharing data between different systems, there's a clear connection there. This is something that is very much a global problem, meaning that it's a problem in every single ecosystems.
Yep.
Events is one of the most active data type in the ecosystem to be shared, and it is also, everyone has a built-in interest to get the events distributed widely, make them visible, and on the other hand also to avoid establishing overlapping events for the same target audiences happening in the same time. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things there to work on, and the way to connect this, one of the topics which we work at data modeling level. So specifically, what is the data model that should exist that should be made into a standard, an open standard specifically, so connecting with the 4.6. For the sake, the model itself, it just takes into account in what format people should think when they share their events to be fed into other systems or when reading from other systems. So the model is just a standard for the format. So that of course spreads to other needs of shareable data, but events is a great starting point that is being identified several times over, but there's a separate effort that we need to do in regards of connecting those types of efforts and work with the standards work that needs, I guess, a separate conversation later in the call.
Beautiful. Thank you, Valdo. Anything else on goal 4.2 in the calendar? Great. So 4.3 is about the new communication channels, including journals, meetups, newsletters, online platforms, podcasts, publications, story sharing channels, and working groups to increase communication across and between ecosystem builders and their many networks. One update we have on this front is Yuval did launch her podcast. Jeff, if you have a link to that we could just share here in the chat and in the notes, that would be amazing.
I will look for that and find that.
So good. Everyone listen to it. It's such a great thing.
Well, you can go to ecosystem.builders is kind of the main. I'll put that in the chat here. And you can sign up for the newsletter to get alerted when the new episode drops, and you can listen. There's links to Apple, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Google Play on that website.
Ta-da! Thank you, Stone. I know we featured it in our newsletter that's going out tomorrow, and yeah, excited for all these pieces that keep coming out. Do we know who specifically is the lead for 4.3?
I don't think there actually is. I don't think there's a project team that's really formed for this. I could be mistaken, but I don't think there is.
Hey, and I'm not sure if Lauren has an update on this. This is Eric. I know that the sort of notifications or the follow-up information to the folks who'd signed up as leads went out, I want to say within the past 2 or 3 days, for at least most of the hackathon type work that happened at the ESHIP Summit. So, and I'm only on maybe 2 of those, so I don't know what we've seen across the board. I don't know that those folks are necessarily the leads, but they're the ones who I think have the ball at this moment.
Yeah, maybe I could provide just a tiny bit of clarity around that. So my current understanding is that these are all buckets of work that have been identified. And there are people who are taking lead on projects within these buckets, but there aren't, I would say, maybe specific leads for specific initiatives. I think that maybe it's more clear to say that there are project leads within specific initiatives. And the hackathons that took place at the summit, I think the request now is that anybody who after that still feels the fire in their belly to actually formalize a real project from that and sees that potential moving forward, they're more than welcome to do so and create a project canvas and join the goal calls and kind of do exactly what we're doing right now, is kind of sensing into what's needed and starting those things up. So I think that that's, from my perspective, what I understand more of the protocol is. And yeah, there's more project leads instead of initiative leads is my take on it.
Yeah, I'd throw in, there's a couple other projects, if you will, of people that are kind of doing not under the, well, so Co-Starters has launched a new publication on Medium. I'll drop into the channel here. It's focused on ecosystem builders. Dropping that in now. It's called Intersections. And then Annika Horn has launched or relaunched her Social Ventures website, which is focused on telling the stories of entrepreneurs and ecosystem builders with social impact bent to it. I think that's socialventurers.com.
Awesome. And yeah, if we get that one, we can add it to the notes as well. Perfect. Sorry, just copying those in here. Yay. Yeah, so anything we can do to help cross-pollinate and cross-promote these new publications and getting the storytelling out there more broadly is always a good thing. So Jeff, I will kick it over to you for 4.4 and the Storytelling Clearinghouse.
Yeah, so I just dropped in another link, ecosystembuilderhub.com. So that's kind of the MVP, if you will, of the Storytelling Clearinghouse. And that's basically status quo, where I spend a couple hours a week going through and combing through sites to try to find articles and stories about ecosystem builders. So it's great to see stuff from like Annika and Yuval and other people publishing more content out there about startup ecosystem builders or entrepreneurial ecosystem builders. So yeah, that's where that's at. And Tyler and Avery and myself are kind of formed a little sub-team for that, focused on EV Hub, as we call it. And that's about where that's at.
And so I would just put out there that like we are actively looking for contributors.
Yes.
And so plug for anyone who is looking to do writing or interviews or video, any of those media. We're excited to help spread the word on that, and we're also looking for folks who want to help distribute those stories as well. So I know my team is now using this when we look for our content for our monthly newsletter, and using this as a source to help make sure we have some good new content to promote.
I do want to say one more thing. I just got an email today. There's a guy named Shane Snipes, and he kind of wants to do something similar to what Tyler did with the road trip. He's calling it the entrepreneur trip, and he was trying to visit various cities and interview entrepreneurs. And it sounds like that might have not worked completely well, but he's trying to find 15 ecosystem builders for online video interviews. He's got a form that I'm going to pop into here. Where if you want, it's for his students at a community college to interact with national entrepreneurs and ecosystem builders. And he's inviting entrepreneurs and ecosystem builders to speak with these students for 15 or 20 minutes via Zoom. So that link to that form I just popped in there, you can sign up for that there. And that's about all I know about it.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'll add that link to the notes here. Beautiful. Great. Any questions or comments about the Storytelling Clearinghouse? So that brings us to 4.5, the NRP network. And so this is one that co-starters and communities.org have been pretty deeply involved in. We had about 2 or 3 calls immediately following the ESHIP summit, and kind of where we landed was essentially waiting to see what the Kauffman RFP process was going to look like following the summit. We had hoped and had heard that that was going to happen in August, but now that we're in September, that's not the case. So, so it's unclear if there is a follow-up for that group independent of that RFP process, or if yeah, just what comes next there. So we're just sort of sitting in limbo right now, not really clear on what we should be doing next.
Well, I can't give you a full update on that, but I can pass this to the. I can take the message. I'll be the messenger, and I'll make sure that you have some more communication about that, so that can lay that to rest, and you know what to do in terms of the RFP and timing and things like that. So I'll make sure.
Awesome. That would be really helpful. Yeah, because we've just been sort of hanging out.
Yes. No limbo zone. I got it.
But we did have a few good calls immediately following ESHIP with a subset of the NRPs, not all of them, looking at the value of collaboration, what the structure of an NRP network might look like. And it seems like there's at least interest. There is a group that is going to move forward with just a quarterly, here's what's new with us type call for the NRPs. And I think SourceLeaks has been pretty involved in that, of helping us just stay abreast of what one another is working on. So just at a very high level, that felt like the easiest thing that we could be just moving forward on our own. So if there are other NRPs on the call, let me know if you want to get plugged into those quarterly calls.
Well, I guess since we are NRP, but haven't really been like after the ESHIP summit, haven't really been involved, maybe because of not having the links, or not sure whether, I mean, maybe also in Slack, but just it's quite hard to keep up with everything. so at least happy to know when they are and to join if it's possible.
Okay, great. Yeah, I will reach out to the team and make sure that that you get added on that as well. And Anne will get you added too. Thank you. I'm just adding your note to the notes here. Perfect. Beautiful. And so then the last one here is 4.6, field governing or standards bodies. Is there anyone who's been explicitly working on that?
Lauren said she had an update.
I do have an update, but my Zoom is going a little crazy on me. Golly, okay. There we go. Sorry. Okay, so essentially just like basically I'll be moving full time into working on the ecosystems team. I've only been very partial time until this year because I've been running another series of programs here at Kauffman. And so my work will start to extend more into stewarding a couple of things, including what I shared about the marketplace and technology related to 4.1, and then also starting to steward some more conversations around 4.6. I think more broadly, the point here is that now that many people are activated around many goals and many initiatives, it's time for Kauffman to focus on where we're uniquely placed to be as supportive as possible with the type of organization that we are. We're not best placed to do certain types of activities, and we're uniquely placed to be supportive and helpful to all of you in the field in other ways. And so I think starting to focus more on where we can be supportive is important. And one of our strong hunches is around 4.6. And so this is just sort of a signal. I'll also be working on creating a project canvas and project proposal for initiative 4.6. And this will focus on a combination of small convenings and supporting a task force that is nominated by the field to begin to tackle some of the foundational questions and processes for establishing this sort of standards organization or developing shared governance approaches around the profession of ecosystem building, primarily within the United States. That is our remit as the foundation. And so a lot of that is going to be the focus in terms of where Kauffman will primarily be reworking, but that's also, I think, relative to the ESHIP summit. So we won't make a hard boundary there, but nonetheless. And so the project canvas will outline preliminary thinking about how that will work and how the nominations will work. And so I'll be able to share more details around that as we move forward. And if anybody is curious about what we mean when we talk about a standards organization, of course, this will be more of the questions of the task force to answer, but these are great examples, like even Valto was mentioning, for example, like the Internet Society, which is the global organization that helps drive internet policy and technology standards that created the open internet standards. That's a great case example. Mm-hmm. Also, there are many cool examples of centers of excellence, cooperatives, and cooperative associations around the world that have also created really great systems for standards in more decentralized groups as we are. And so anyway, that will be up for the discussion in the group. It's not for me to decide, but there are very cool things to look at that have happened all around the world. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that take shape, and we'll share the project canvas as it comes forward in the coming weeks here. So that's beautiful. The update there.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren.
Avery, this is Carol in Chicago. This morning, because I'm interested in 4.6, and I posted my interest at the Slack channel a couple of weeks ago. I haven't heard any response to that, but now hearing Lauren, I'm definitely interested in being part of the task force and being part of the deep dive of this 4.6. But the Slack channel, I don't know if that's what we're supposed to use or not. So FYI, I raised my hand about joining this group. And then secondly, this morning I sent an email to everybody from the hackathon who showed an interest in 4.6 to see if they were interested in this project team. And that was just about 4 hours ago that those 14 emails went out. So I've not heard back yet, but there may be some other people that surface, and I'm not sure whether I should point those interested folks into the Slack channel for 4.6 that currently exists, or whether there's some other place I should point them just to be sure that they get included and are part of this. So that's my question is, what do I do? Since I've met with silence on my Slack posting of late August, I'm not sure that that's the right place for an interested person to surface. What I'm asking, where is the right place if it's not that?
So maybe I can just share from my perspective. So I was there in the kind of hovering around the standards hackathon canvas work during the ESHIP summit, and as similarly as what Kaufman said, we also, like, from the perspective of our own work in regards of developing these Creative Commons assets and tools and so forth, the standards part really kind of resonates very strongly with us, because that is the heart of the problem, to enable connectivity, as the whole internet is like that, and anything where people really, and specifically organization, and even more specifically applications and digital tools, need to collaborate, and where KPIs need to be aligned and different things, that's where kind of the standards really come to play. We all know how the world works annoyingly when the standards are different in different countries, aka the power outlets and mobile networks before they get to the standards and so forth. So we are very, very at the same time motivated, and at the same time very troubled and worried that these types of developments would kind of get to even accelerated pace without having any kind of standards activity working in place. So with that, I also made the initiative to start the 4.6 channel in Slack in the ESHIP group. So I was the one putting it forward for that step, and then I was waiting what's going to start happening. And then I also decided now after summer, I was trying to follow whether there's like project management tools and how to kind of start organizing some of the questions and work. So I made another step and put a Trello board with an open in kind of link in that channel, so that there's a place where we can hang different things, if nothing else. I'm just trying to push that forward, and really looking forward that how we can get a team around that, and also the considerations, how do we link the kind of the US activities with the global activity. We already know that there are like international actors through Gen Network and through just motivated to be involved also in the ESHIP from other countries as well. And but specifically for standards, we really should try to avoid creating silos at any level. Like so that's really the key. And we had a EU initiative called OS for Growth, so Open Standards for Growth, that we were in the funding call. Unfortunately, we didn't get that funding, but we had 40 organizations from Europe that showed their support for that. And of course, now then we are trying to see which of those organizations are serious enough also to, like incubators, universities, some bigger companies, smaller companies, which of them are committed enough to continue regardless of the funding not being in place. So we're trying to also connect them with here. And of course, everywhere where we work with the ecosystem developers, we promote the concept of open standards. But it's clear that it needs its own neutral identity. So we don't want it to be anything like Startup Commons. We're like contributors like others, anyone else as well. But we are committed on being part of that and pushing it forward. But we don't want to push like Startup Commons involved in being any kind of position of driving that, other than contributing, like getting the governance in place, however, what kind of setup it needs to have, but it should have a global perspective. That's the key point that I want to highlight here. But we need to decide what that looks like. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a really important link there. And yeah, having mostly worked globally over like the last 6 years, I would agree with that very much so. And Carol, this is Lauren speaking. I know I don't see your video. So I would just say that I think for right now, if any of those people that you email have energy around this, let's go into the Slack channel that Balto has, let's come on this call, because something as big as open standards or shared governance processes, they are organized conversations that take quite some time to get cooking, right? And it's really the design of the conversations, it's the design of the facilitation of them, it's the process that brings all the people together that's the most crucial. All of this at this moment, including looking at some very smart, considerate designs like Valto has brought forward, like with open standards. And so I think that as we can kind of all continue to come together on these calls, I'm sure we'll all kind of learn and steer and shift together, is my sense. And I think one last point to Valto's comment is that what the initiative or the project that I was talking about, of course, it relates to all the research and all of the options and ways of doing this, but it, because there's a lot of cases out there about how standards can be created in large groups. It can be very top down, bottom up. How does it happen? Then there's all of the question around how does shared governance how is it created, and how do people come into agreement about that? I think one thing I'm very sure of, having worked in a lot of large community collaborative initiatives, is that if we were to pick a task force tomorrow, meaning Kaufman or Andy and I, right, that wouldn't be the right way to do it, right? There is a very specific collaborative, open way that we have to even go about the process of starting these conversations. And so this proposal that you'll see that comes through has to do also with how the conversations are started, who's included in those conversations, and how we have agreement around that, so that the sort of root of the conversations is also inclusive and comfortable to the diverse group of ecosystem builders that are represented not only here, but also in our broader community. And I'm more concerned about how that starts. And then I will be so excited for multiple experts, including yourself, to bring in case examples to that group, so it can nourish that conversation.
So I have a couple questions. This is Carol again. When you said, Lauren, when you just mentioned these calls, are you talking about the monthly Goal 4 calls, or are you talking about the maybe soon to start project team calls for 4.6 that my understanding is will operate independently and make progress reports at the monthly call like today's, along with all of the other initiative project reports? So when you say involvement in these calls, which are you talking about?
Right now I'm talking about just this call, because the 4.6 project call doesn't exist, and it will, and those people who are involved in that project will know when that's happening, because there'll be a project canvas, and so it's still a little premature. Basically, I'm only talking about this call at the moment.
Okay, and is your canvas that you are working on for 4.6 likely to reflect some parts of the 4.6 canvas at the hackathon? Or is your instinct, because those are the folks, of course, that I emailed this morning to kind of probe for interest in going forward and getting a call group organized and scheduling interactions. Or are you thinking about it, do you know yet if your canvas is likely to be quite a different direction from the 4.6 canvas that came out of the hackathon?
I can look at that in more detail, and I can follow up with you about that and kind of work through it over the next weeks here. So give me a minute to re-review that, and I'll get back to you about that.
Okay, I'm just asking for information. I have I'm not trying to point this in one direction or the other, but especially if people were to surface in response to my email this morning with the hackathon canvas in mind, since we were that group, and the last time that particular group focused on 4.6, it was to create that canvas. So I'm just looking for how best to inform anybody interested about what might be next, or have them be on hold for a bit until we get more clarification, or whatever the most effective thing to do for me to be doing, assuming I hear from someone from that group with indicators of interest.
That makes sense. Yeah, we need to figure out obviously how we'll all be coordinated. So that I understand.
Okay, good. Great.
Carol, I'm happy to start the call with you and let others join. So I got your email and I will reply for that for sure. But anyway, like I'm ready to work with whoever wants to work on the topic and get things moving. But following the practices of what are aligned then with how to go about it.
Well, I'm happy to wait for an indicator from Lauren about how since she seems to be taking the bull by the horns with both the canvas and possibly getting a project team moving forward. I'm happy to just kind of make a report, as I have a report to make about yet more interested parties in this 4.6 project team group, and I think Lauren knows a whole lot more about this. A lot of people know a whole lot more about this than I do. So I'm just trying to make, kind of plug in where it might make sense to plug in. And I'm happy to have your response to today's email, Valto, as well as wait a few days to see what other responses come through from that group that I emailed this morning.
Great.
You will get
So,
coordinated.
it is 12:57, so I think it is time for us to close out. You all have access to this notes document. If you have topics of conversation that you would like to raise up for October, November, December, there is a section on page 1 for you to do so. Please feel free to do that. Otherwise, I think that it's good for us to know that even just doing updates on the goals takes this long. Now, obviously, it's been a little while, so maybe it won't take this long in the future, but I think this is a useful point of reference that we may or may not actually have 30 to 40 minutes for like a main meetup activity or curated content. So something to think about for the future. But I want to thank you all for making the time today. It's great to hear how everything's going, and looking forward to connecting with you all in October.
Avery, is the notes document on the Slack channel yet? I don't see it for the 4.6.
Yep.
Or any of the Slack channels?
It's on goal 4, connected networks. So it's not on one of the initiative ones. It's the main goal one. I posted it at the beginning of the call.
Great. Got it. When I get to a computer,
Perfect.
I'll get to it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Great to see you all.
Nice to meet you all.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.